Hello, welcome to the Tea Party Hardy channel. If you came here expecting a typical movie review or TV review, or even a massive political rant about how the left is destroying the universe, well, sorry. This is going to fit under the category of let's learn something and maybe have a chuckle or two. So this is a theremin. What in the wild is a theremin? A theremin is a crazy instrument invented in 1919, and you can see all the different shapes, and we will definitely be listening to it. And they cost between $250 to near $600. There's a little cheapo one for $100. And yeah, there's the Moog one. And then here's other styles of it. Okay, now if we look at the Moog one, where'd it go? The Moog one that the library lady is teaching us, she shows you that you set up the antenna over here. Now this one's, I don't know if it's completely digital because it's supposed to work with tubes. That's kind of how it was invented, was tubes, and there was no such thing as digital yet. And then this is the volume on this side, and this is your frequencies. And on this particular unit, you can control how many octaves it does from top to bottom. Apparently, it can reach 6 octaves completely if you have the real thing. And she'll show you what it sounds like. And if you have children in the area, you might want to plug their ears because they might start laughing.
It starts with tiny finger movements. So have your hand like this. And you'll slowly move your fingers out so they're fully extended.
Yeah, it makes that little fart sound.
So have your hand like this, and you'll slowly move your fingers out so they're fully extended. And this usually gets you to go up by one note at a time.
So you can see it's really, really sensitive to do that.
So once you start practicing with your finger movements, then
Yeah,
you start working.
There we go.
Start working with
Okay.
volume as well. It's very hard to do it together, so don't get discouraged if you can't get it right off the bat.
Come on, lady. Hush. Pause button ain't working. Okay, there we go. So, now, let's learn the background of it. The theremin, also called a theremin vox, and vox, of course, being Latin for voice, or the etherphone. It's an electronical musical instrument invented in 1920, though the other sources said 1919. So who are you going to believe, the British or everybody else? In the Soviet Union by Leon Theremin, also known Lev Theremin. It consists of a box with radio tubes, which I'm pretty sure hers doesn't have, but I'm not sure. Yeah, but hers even sounded kind of digital. It consists of a box with radio tubes producing oscillations at 2 sound frequencies above the range of hearing. I'm guessing they mean human hearing. Together they produce a lower audible frequency equal to the difference in their rates of vibrations. The pitch, the high and low notes, is controlled by moving your hand, as she showed you, or a baton toward or away from the antenna. And you've seen just a teeny little movement makes a gigantic difference. At the right and rear of the box, the movement alters one of the inaudible frequencies. Okay, the harmonics are, harmonics or component tones of the sound can be filtered out, allowing the production of several tone colors over a range of 6 octaves. Okay, I'm a professionally trained musician, and even I'm like having to digest all those words. The American composer Henry Cowell and the French-American composer Edgar Varese have written for the theremin. I don't know Edgar Varese's music, but I am familiar with his recording label, so there you go. The instrument was used in recording by the American rock group Beach Boys and the soundtrack for several science fiction movies. It's the official woo-woo instrument. And I'll show you what you mean by the woo-woo. So here is the theremin by a guy who's quite skilled at playing it. And he's going to be performing Over the Rainbow. And you can see this is the olden days kind. 1929 version. So it really has the tubes. So here's the volume. Here's the antenna. So he's going to control the volume here. I don't know why he's blowing on his fingers, but whatever. And so again, this is the volume. And this is the pitch. You see his fingers doing the twitch to change the notes. It's a little too loud for me. I'll bring it down a little. Hopefully it's not too bad on your side. Okay. So you can hear that's definitely the sci-fi woo-woo instrument. The woo-woo is, yeah, definitely on there. And so let's put that in the background nice and quiet. And now that we've had that advantage, let's pretend it's Sunday and have a good Sunday ha-ha-ha laugh. So the first commenter, I'm here because of a joke I heard. I'm thinking about selling my theremin. I haven't touched it in years. See, because you don't actually touch it, so yeah. This is how 80% of the ghost effects were made during the 80s. 100% vibrato. Only because the performer is choosing to do that. This one's a little naughty. Plug your children's ears again. People can play me without touching me, too. Sad face. It sounds like a cross between a violin and a woman's voice. It really does at the end, and when we get there, I'll let you hear it. I love this one. Lyrics. And then down here, 151 sounds exactly like an opera singer, and I clicked on it. It's like, oh my, it does. We'll get to it. That was so futuristic and cool to think it was invented in the 1920s and was not intended to be a musical instrument at all. I don't know where we got that, because that's why I looked up the thing in Britannia. It's like, okay, well, whatever. There's nothing to contradict that it wasn't invented for that. Let's see. And then, imagine being in the 1600s and somehow seeing this video. You wouldn't believe your eyes. I just discovered this instrument, but it's incredible. It allows you to manipulate the frequencies by the notes, interacting with the electromagnetic field. There's nobody in the 1600s would even know what those words mean, so moving on. They'll be playing it in the Space Cafe in 1,000 years. Does anyone want to buy a theremin? I haven't. Oh, there's that joke again. Let's see. Who's here after checking out the Google Doodle but had to see more? Not me, not me. I'm here because we were talking about science fiction movies and the scores. Let's see. Somewhere over the black hole. Oh, that's cute. Nice, nice, nice. Have you ever wanted to play the invisible violin? Well, we have a treat for you. That's how I imagine sirens, the mythological creatures, sounding like. If you want to, like, crash your ship into the rocks, then well done. I want this played at my funeral. Oops, it jumped. Darn it. Let's see. I wonder why the theremin wasn't more widely used and improved over the time. It was. We just seen the Moog version, and it's in movies on a regular basis. Teacher, so what instrument can you play? Let's see if it's safe for children. Better be safe for children. Me! Air! Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to air guitar, doesn't it? All joking aside, it's beautiful. There was one in here about ghost, and it was the one that actually made me want to make this video, so I'm trying to find the one with the ghost. Dr. Strange would love this instrument. Yes, yes, he would. This instrument must take... Let's see. This instrument must make people with perfect pitch cringe so hard. No, we're used to vibrato. It's all good. Not saying I have perfect pitch by any stretch of the imagination. Shaggy. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Turns out... Let's see. Turns around and sees the scary, goes, yikes! Insert that guy playing the instrument. I stumbled across this weird side of YouTube, and yet I never knew this instrument could even be so beautiful. Completely changed my perspective on it. I want this played at... Oh, there it is. I want this played at my funeral. This guy, dressed as the Jetsons, and multicolored glowing jellyfish dancing in the background. Wow, too bad you're going to be dead and miss the whole thing. Let's see. So, oh, we did somewhere over the black hole. Where's the one with the ghost? Because it was really funny. And then we will wrap it up. Let's see. Wavelength. Person, what instruments do you play? Me, the wavelengths. Yeah, well done. That was so futuristic. I did that one. Let's see. Sounds exactly like an opera singer. Oh, there it is. I think some sad aliens are in my neighborhood. Yeah, that just made me so laugh. I wanted to make this video. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a little laugh out of it and learned something about a theremin. And for those that you want to stick around for just a little bit longer, let me add this. The reason we were talking about the movie scores, we were talking about, as you know, I've done the reviews here for the TV show Disney Gallery with the music, Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. And we were talking about the episode number 7 with the guy who wrote the music, and, you know, I was just telling him what you already heard in the video, where the dude was just in way over his head to create a score that would be the music for an entire show and have such a unique sound that people go, oh yeah, that's Mandalorian music. And then, so we were talking about John Williams and his age and when he was doing it, and Enrico Mencino, I know I don't do that name right, I apologize, but the guy who did the spaghetti western music, and then, of course, Jerry Goldsmith. And then how we got to this was, the reason John Williams was such a big deal for Star Wars is he was the first guy to introduce in science fiction movies orchestral music. Before him, it was this theremin was just beat to death in the music. It was all sci-fi music. And then in 1977, when he was hired to do Star Wars, Lucas told him, hey, I want some Wagnerian-styled music. Wow, did Williams deliver that up quite nicely? Because if you're a fan of Wagner, you will recognize, yep, I can definitely hear that. So the discussion went on about how Williams did that. And he goes, oh yeah, well, what about the triangle instrument that you put your hand in but you don't touch? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he tried as hard as he could to describe it, but think about how hard it is to describe this instrument to somebody who's never seen it, or, well, we've all heard it, it turns out. But yeah, so it was really difficult for him. So he was nice enough to send me the link when he got home, and leads to this. And in relationship to Jerry Goldsmith, since we're on this direction, so the things I mentioned about Jerry Goldsmith, what he pioneered was not so much orchestral music back into science fiction. No, Jerry Goldsmith introduced the idea, like in science fiction, he did, the year before Star Wars came out, he did Logan's Run. And talk about being a master of writing a score for a movie as compared to putting music in a movie. What he did was, when they're in the city in Logan's Run, which is a future city, even though in real life it's a mall in Dallas, he uses all this beep, beep, bop, bop music, which is what everybody used before Star Wars. And again, it's a year before Star Wars. So Jerry Goldsmith said beep, 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 boop, bop, 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 bop. And I don't think he used the theremin, but a lot of beep, beep, boop, boop, bop, bop. But once they leave the dome city in Logan's Run, from that second on in the movie, it becomes orchestral. And you don't recognize it when you're watching, and if you do, then he failed his mission, because the idea of writing a proper score for a movie is to have the listener go along with the story. And it was just so impressive to know that that's how you do a score. He didn't put music in the movie. No, he told the story. He said, in the future city, it's beep, beep, bop, bop. But when you're in the real world, he used real world instruments. You know, that violins, cellos, things that can be manufactured and are manufactured from real life things, not electronic. And that's one of the things that made Jerry Goldsmith so brilliant. He also introduced in horror movies the choral, the all that crazy stuff. That was him. And he's even, if you can be more well known than that, the Jerry Goldsmith did the music for The Omen. That's where he introduced that, and boy, did that catch on. And he invented that lineup, which had never been done before. Whereas when Lucas and Williams came together to put the orchestral in the science fiction, it wasn't as big a leap as it was, arguably, as putting in choral gothic style on top of horror music. Because horror was using this theremin as well, and still does. And then you have also Jerry Goldsmith doing the music for Planet of the Apes, where he just went all whacked out on... Now remember, Planet of the Apes is supposed to be kind of a civilized society, but with primitive technology. So he used the horns of animals and a lot of percussive instruments, and it's as much as Jon Favreau wanted the musician in The Mandalorian to come up with a distinct sound. Yeah, well, he didn't hit the target by any stretch of the imagination. When you hear Planet of the Apes music, you're like, oh, that's Planet of the Apes music, isn't it? Yes, yes, it is. And if you hear music from The Omen, it's like, that's some seriously creepy, spooky music. And yeah, so that's how that went. Anyways, thanks for sticking around for this long. We hope you enjoyed it and have a great afternoon. Don't worry, we'll be back with our ranting and reviews eventually. But sometimes you just got to take a break from the chaos out there, because there is way, way, way too much chaos out there right now. So we'll see you in the future. Maybe with a theremin.